Hello and welcome to Rotted Reviews, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the 1982 movie Alone in the Dark. This was a Rotted request that was put out by patron Jackie, who asked me to take a look at this movie because, according to her, while I found this a little slow to start, the actors involved can't be missed. And you know what? After having watched the movie, I can safely say that I mostly agree with that, but not entirely. Written and directed by Jack Shoulder, as well as written by Robert Hay and Michael Holster, this movie opens up by introducing us to the character of Dr. Dan Potter, played by Dwight Lieutenant Barclay Schultz. And Dr. Dan is a newbie that is hired on to fill a newly vacant position at a mental institution that is headed by Dr. Leo Bain, played by Donald Pleasance. And Dr. Leo has a bit of an unorthodox approach to medicine, as he is kind of taking a bit more of a sensitive and even almost holistic approach to things.
Loosen yourself up, you're not at Payne Whitney anymore. We don't lock people up here and fry their brains with electricity. People here aren't called patients, they are voyagers.
And that's all well and good except for the third floor, which houses all of the violent patients with a history of pyromania and murder, including Frank Hawes, played by Jack Palance, Byron Preacher Sutcliffe, played by Martin Landau, and Ronald Fatty Elster, played by Erland Van Lith. And that somewhat unorthodox approach to treating people extends to the third floor by letting them roam about almost freely, instead kind of relying on security doors that are managed with electricity. Cue the blackout. And the movie kind of takes off from there with the murderous patients escaping at the inevitable power cut, running rampant on the city, as well as targeting the new doctor and his family. Now, I started this out by saying that I mostly agree with Jackie, but not entirely, and that mostly comes down to I absolutely 100% agree that the cast is absolutely stellar in this film. However, I also don't think it was that slow to start. The movie opens up by showing us a dream sequence for the ages that was just absolutely fantastic, and then I think that Donald Pleasance really kind of kept the momentum going with his oddball character of Dr. Leo Bain, which was just a phenomenal performance all told. And once the baton was kind of passed over to Dwight Schultz and kind of introducing us to the asylum and the third floor and the inmates within by kind of having him go through his introductory walkabout and so forth, I thought it was actually pretty decent in how it disseminated information in a way that was entertaining. This was classic, not necessarily 80s sleaze, but I do think that it was pretty top-notch 80s cheese. And if I had to pinpoint any one thing that really stood out to me as far as why I consider this movie to be a success, it would mostly come down to the patients of the third floor. They clearly just had so much fun making this movie. Martin Landau just completely stole every scene that he was in with his maniacal smile and just gleeful approach to the whatever he was doing at the time. Jack Palance admittedly didn't really bring a whole lot to the table aside from Jack Palance, but you know what? That's more than enough.
It's not just us crazy ones who kill. We all kill. Doctor, when we must.
Alone in the Dark is the kind of 80s cheeseball movie that's rife with gleeful villains and victims that are constantly making questionable decisions at every turn. And you know what? I'm absolutely here for that. I'm honestly kind of surprised that I had never seen this one, but even more surprised that I had never even actually heard of it. So this is a prime example of me being extraordinarily happy that I opened up the floor to some requester material and got introduced to something that I had never had on my radar before. If I had one major complaint about this movie, which I do, and it's kind of my job, it would be that there was a lot of elements of this movie that was extraordinarily predictable. Once you saw that all of the security measures for the most violent patients on the facility was controlled by electricity, you just knew what was going to happen, and sure enough, there we go. But moreover, this movie really did try to introduce an interesting twist with the inclusion of a fourth character that always hid his face called the Bleeder, and I gotta be honest, I saw that one coming a mile away. But you know what? That still didn't make it any less fun at the end of the day. It was still a riotous, raucous watch, and I'm very glad that I caught it. So if you are a fan of 80s slasher movies that smile from ear to ear just as much as Martin Landau did in this film, I cannot recommend Alone in the Dark enough. So thank you, Jackie, for recommending this one to me, and thank you for watching this video. I do hope you liked it. I look forward to seeing you in my next review. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.